it going. We're going to just talk about what's been happening in crypto and NFTs. Joey, I see you had your hand up. I know they had to jump off, so I'm sorry about that, but I did want to be respectful of their time.
Oh no, it's okay. I think, and I was going to see their take on it if they're still here. But we're talking about the SEC and their regulation when it comes to crypto. But the reality is crypto, and it's not going to stop, right? Like the rest of the world is it. Many countries are taking different stances, and the part that I'm most fearful of with the way the SEC is going about things in the U.S. government is pushing money and business out of America, right? Like for those of us that are American citizens, we want to keep as much of this as much as we can, right? Like within reason. I'm not saying America should control everything, but like we don't want to see people taking their businesses that overseas or taking their money overseas because America is making it so difficult for people to operate. And that's the part that concerns me the most is like we're stifling technology and we're stifling advancement while other countries in the world are embracing it and welcoming it. And I think that's like a part that we're forgetting to talk about is the regulation stinks and everything they're doing stinks, but the rest of the world, it's not happening. And it makes it really difficult for me to say like, hey, I want a future in Web3 and a future in crypto. Do I have to move to Dubai? Do I have to move to Greece? Do I have to move to Switzerland? Like, what do I have to do to achieve that if the US is going to be so hard? And when you think about the fact that that Coinbase met with the SEC like 35 times before they went public and before all this stuff, and yet the SEC is now going after them. So it's like, what do we have to do?
Completely agree. And speaking of the point that you just made, did you see that Gensler's tweet got community noted with those facts, saying that the Coinbase had talked to them for over 30 times? So that was hilarious. I'll pin it to the top. Nico and then Matt.
So during your space, and I tweeted it out, Robinhood announced that they're gonna delist Cardano, Solano, and what are we gonna? How are we gonna make fun of Polygon? Baloney, but yeah, they're
Polygono.
yeah, Polygano, I guess. Yeah, but they're delisting those three right now.
Cardonzo. Go ahead, Matt. I don't have any Cardonzo.
But
No, I was gonna say, in the land of America, one of our America's personality traits is lawsuits. You can sue anybody for anything, and the SEC is suing Coinbase, and the Coinbase can sue the SEC. And I think sometimes when we hear these big agency names, they think some people think like they can't be sued. You can sue the U.S. government. It would take a lot of money and a lot of lawyers, but you can sue anything. Anybody can sue anybody. So I hope the SEC has done their research and their grounds, but I personally think they're gonna lose. Um, and yeah, it's just a waste of everybody's time right now, and it's disheartening. But Coinbase has billions of dollars, and they have lawyers, and I understand the government has lawyers, but it's like you really need to like about before you go into a lawsuit because there's always a chance you can lose. So yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Go ahead, Tammy.
Sorry about that. Is there any validity then to Gensler, what's been going around now about him wanting to be some sort of advisor for Binance?
No clue. It's all headlines now. I don't know, Peter. I see Peter up here. Peter, have you been doing any digging into the Binance Coinbase lawsuits? I'd love to hear your
Oh,
thoughts.
sure. I mean, I like this stuff. It's interesting. I raised my hand just in response to the question, like, what do you have to do in the United States to participate in this technology? And the answer is quite simple. Just don't sell tokens that you've created for cash. That's what this is about. So if you're building in Web3 and you're not doing that, this doesn't bother you, in my view. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say.
What any thoughts about the slandering that Gensler has been doing to the crypto community? I had to look up what a huckster was. I didn't know he called us hucksters, scammers. Like, this seems a lot like, I think, Tammy, you brought this up before, like the marijuana industry. Everybody who was in marijuana was criminal. Do you have any thoughts about that, Peter? And then we'll go to Flu.
Well, I mean, there are a ton of hucksters, fraudsters, and scammers in crypto. Like, that's not wrong.
Yep, I guess you're not wrong about that either.
Go ahead, Flu, and then I'll say what I gotta say.
I just would like to announce that I'm formally announcing today that Johnny, who is my legal representation, and I are suing Gary Gensler for being a giant baby bitch. That is all. I will pin the tweet above here in a few minutes whenever we've made that official announcement. Thank you.
And you can absolutely do that, by the way. You can, like
Legend.
Matt said, you can go right ahead and sue anybody for anything.
So a huckster by definition is a person who sells small items either door to door or from a stall or a small store. I don't know how anybody in this space is a huckster. I've never seen somebody knock on my front door and try to sell me an NFT or cryptocurrency. I don't know about you all and where you live, but there's definitely no hucksters in my neighborhood.
What's your
Completely agree.
address?
And another comment that he made was, he said, we don't need new digital currency. We have digital currency. It's the US dollar. Daniel, what are your thoughts about that? Go ahead, Matt, and then Daniel.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, a lot of the stuff, like, you know what Gary Gensler reminds me of? I'm sure you guys have seen that meme where like that young girl is like with her grandma. She's like, "All right, go around, grandma. It's time for your nap now." That's what that's what Gary Gensler is. Like, even congressional representatives do not take this guy seriously. They're actively trying to replace him, as the head of SEC. I don't even know how he got elected in the first place, but Gary Gensler is just
He's not,
like
he's not elected. Gary
no.
Gensler's not elected.
There you
He's
go.
appointed.
There you go. So, I feel like, and this is my most optimistic view, I feel like they're gonna remove him, after he loses the lawsuit. And yeah, this guy he's a joke. He's a joke. He's an old wash.
Matt, I have to laugh because I said that I think maybe last week. I'm like, he reminds me of the unpopular dude in school that now has like a little bit of power. So now he's power tripping.
Wait, but for the record, Gary Gensler is actually an incredibly smart and like well-educated individual. Like, we may not like him, but we also have to remember that his position is an appointed position, and typically this position is carrying out the what's it called? Like the
Executive,
bid,
right?
yeah, the bidding of like whatever party appoints them. I mean, he's so like we want to blame him because he's the face man, but ultimately, like, you know, he is just doing the bidding of the party that put him in that position. I mean, if you look at his history with Goldman Sachs and like what he's done in previous, he's with the NFL and like their TV deal, like he's an extremely intelligent individual with a great education. It's just he's the one bearing the bad news, so we hate him.
Yeah, he's extremely intelligent, taught a course at MIT, but as he said on the stand, he's never held crypto digital assets. I find that very hard to believe. But Peter, I'll let you chime in, then we'll go to Daniel.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, I wanted to address Tammy raised, like, what do we think of Gensler saying we don't need another digital currency? Considering the securities allegations, talking about everything but Bitcoin, yeah, I agree. You know, we don't need Ethereum to be a currency. We don't need Polygon or Solana to be currencies. We need them to be kind of commodities which allow people access to various things like NFTs and various infrastructure components of Web3. So it's funny that he would say that when Bitcoin is not part of the suit, because if you're talking about, you know, the kind of war for the future of currency, it's Bitcoin against fiat. It's not Solana against fiat. Sorry to you Solana maxis, but so it's funny that he would say that right after these lawsuits when Bitcoin wasn't even mentioned once. So, you know, that battle is still yet to be waged.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, and then I'll go to Daniel because I've been skipping over him. is that no proof of work tokens or coins were mentioned. They were all proof of stake. And one that surprisingly has been off the list is even Dogecoin. Like that's a crazy meme coin, but no proof of work was listed.
Well,
Daniel, oh,
well,
go
just
ahead,
sorry to
Peter.
respond to that. The reason that would
Dogecoin is
be,
actually technically proof of
Wait,
work because it's
wait, too many people.
convertible.
Peter and then
yeah,
Daniel.
sorry, Daniel. Just the reason Doge wouldn't be on there, and something like Pepe, by the way, wouldn't be on there. There's no centralized entity selling tokens to venture capital that can subsequently dump it. Solana raised $350 million from a token sale to Andreessen, I believe. So that kind of behavior is the kind of thing that's going to get the SEC interested, whereas Billy Marcus has been out of Dogecoin for like 8 years. So there's no kind of entity that can dump tokens that retail will subsequently buy. So that's why Doge is probably not a security in most cases.
Great point. Daniel, welcome.
Is it me, Daniel, or is there another Daniel here?
It's you, sir.
Go for it, man. You finally got the mic. Go for it.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good
Yeah,
morning. Do we got corporate Daniel or margarita Daniel? Which one we got today?
it's Friday morning, bitches.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're asking a tough question here because I don't want to answer anything. But it's funny that he used virtual, right? He said virtual instead of anything else. So I don't think I
Digital.
ever.
He said digital.
Oh, digital. Oh, okay, then I guess I'll shut up.
No, I mean, what are your thoughts with everything that's happening? I'd love to hear. How do you feel about what Gensler's been saying and doing?
Yeah, so I was talking to those spaces where Nico was holding yesterday, and I thought it was just such a out of character, for him to. I'm sure he'd come out and said these things before, but he seems kind of out of character yesterday, or maybe the last video he had. Like he name called, he mentioned a few a few words. I don't know. He just seemed very out of character. He's probably under a lot of pressure. I'm sure someone is really telling him elections are coming, so he needs to get something fucking done. And that's why he's really, you can tell in his face, and he's really pursued for just suing everything that is just like poking their eyes into trying to make something happen in the U.S. Out of character, and who is we, right? Like I need digital currencies other than US dollars. And I mean, he's right. It's been a while since I touched I don't know, a paper bill. I don't really have paper bills. I pay with my credit card and that's it. I never have cash. I never use it. So yeah, he's right that we had, it's been a hybrid. It's been in a hybrid state, and maybe this is the final push for their CBDC, the Fed now. But yeah, just out of character. He's under a lot of pressure. I hope he fucks up in the next week or so. Like he says something that we all cling to, or like he's under a lot of pressure. So he might make a slip here. I
Great
hope.
take. Great take, Daniel. Thanks for coming up and sharing your thoughts. Flu, I know you wanted to chime in. Let's go to you, and then we'll go to the rest of the hands. And I see Anna's up here too.
I was just gonna say Dogecoin is merge mined with Bitcoin, so it's not like proof of stake or whatever. It's also not something that was like sold for any sort of like flat out thing, but he already covered it, so it's all gravy. I just wanted to point out my lawsuit announcement is pinned up top. Um, lots of likes on it already. No retweets, only one retweet. I mean, like, what the hell? This is a big lawsuit. We could all join together. This could be a class action. You know, just join, like, just fucking comment below. You'll be added to the class action. That's how
All
fake
right,
lawsuits
Flu.
work.
Let's.
Jet, come on, bro.
The only thing I'll point out there,
Actually, on that point, though, Ryan Selkis is actually creating a super PAC, and he's raising $100 million. And part of it is going to be actually to push back against the SEC, right? Because I think what's happening, right, what we heard from the previous two guests was that there's a big difference between the branches, and within the government, there's a lot of tension. So I think to Daniel's point, there is some pressure from the executive branch to tell Gary Gensler to go for it, to make a big splash. Unfortunately, the market doesn't care or already factored it. So it hasn't made the splash that I think they wanted. So he's going to continue to be in the media. And my 2 cents there, right? I don't know him, I don't know the guy, but I think he's personally angling for a higher position. He doesn't want to be the next Jay Clayton, where after he's done, like no one remembers him and forget about him, and he get like some kind of advisor job somewhere no one cares about. I think he's angling for a higher cabinet position, so he wants his name to be out there in the media, and he wants to be seen as like this power authority that stamped down on crypto. But if he gets so many lawsuits or other branches pushing against him, that his name is going to be tarnished. So I actually think he tried, but he didn't get the effect that he wanted.
Great take. Great take. I think it was Parth and then Jonathan and then Nico.
Jonathan can go first. He was ahead of me.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing this Friday morning of education? I'll definitely say, like, yeah, no, I don't like Gary Gensler. I don't care what nobody tells me. He's running his own stuff on the back end, I believe. Also, it's just that being disingenuous about everything is the part that's really messed up to me, and I almost feel like at this point with crypto and everything, they like going into someone's house and being mad at them and then just smacking down and breaking all their stuff on the way out the door. You know what I'm saying? So I really like the conversation that was being had earlier from the gentleman that was on, because I never really looked at it that way about the local thing for getting crypto more, getting a stronger push to the higher ups. So I'm gonna need to really look into that more in my state of Oklahoma, because that is, I think we really, really need that. And to be honest with you, I don't like Gary Gensler. He reminds me of Jeeves from old school. Got picked on, then he got power, and now he's just trying to kick everybody in the faces as he can for his own insecurities, whatever they are. But that's all I got on that.
Great point. Thanks for sharing. Parth, what's going on?
I just had one quick question and then my thoughts. So, with Fed now, that's going to be rolling out very soon. Are you going to be able to extract however much money you have with those digital bank currencies into actual money or money into your credit card or whatever like that? Or is that not how it's going to work?
I do not have information of how FedNow is going to work. I don't know if anybody has any info on that. I don't know if they put out much details. Anybody know? Yeah, I don't think there's I don't think there's public information as to how FedNow is going to work. At least not that I know of. I don't know. I'm not going to say I know.
Okay. But yeah, based on that, I was gonna say that I think what's gonna happen is they're trying to eliminate the playing field for Fed now. So because they said that by June 13th, if you don't withdraw all the money that you have in Binance, it's just gonna be trapped in there for crypto only. So I think what they're trying to do is get the stage ready for Fed now to roll out, because I'm pretty sure with Fed now you would be able to, take your money out of the um USDT coin, however it's gonna work. Do you guys get what I'm saying or no?
Yeah, because right now it's my understanding the reason that they're shutting down the USD withdrawals and deposits into Binance US is because of the banking relationship. So the bank is telling them, hey, we're not going to be able to support you anymore. So you need to do what you want to do. But that's my understanding. And I saw a thumbs down. Were you disagreeing or just agreeing that you don't like that?
I was just agreeing with you.
Did you want to chime in on anything? Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I was gonna say what Gary is doing and the way that he's handling this entire situation and the SEC in general, it's just terrible. It's a terrible look for them, because clearly these, the cryptocurrencies have been around for a long time, and the XRP lawsuit has been going on for years. So if they didn't give us regulatory clarity on what is a security and what's not, and now all of a sudden they're bringing the hammer down on Binance and Coinbase and saying, they're selling unregistered securities, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why did you not give regulatory clarity before? Like, it's a clown show. Like, they are not handling it well. I do think that we do need some regulations with everything that we all just experienced with all these shit coins and people getting rugged and getting their money. So I do think some regulations would help if they really want to help the consumers. But going after chains like Solana or whatever, Binance, that actually have utility, that are actually benefiting the ecosystem, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's a complete clown show.
I completely agree with you. Can't say no to that. Peter, did you want to respond to Anna, and then we'll go to Nico and Joey?
Yeah, just a bit. I mean, I'm not an apologist, but when it comes to Solana specifically and some of the other allegations, like, I don't think it's ethically right that a centralized entity should be able to raise $350 million from venture capital funding and then have the VC funding just waiting to dump on retail relentlessly and for years. And so that's what these allegations are really about. And regulation by enforcement, I don't win many friends when I say this, but it's been around forever, and it achieves clarity. And it happens whenever there's new technology, whether it's the automobile or how to deal with antitrust laws regarding tech and all the rest of it. This happens all the time, no matter which party is in power. And so, like, I'm not going to rush to defend an entity that raised, $10 million plus by selling pre-utility tokens to venture capitalists. I'm just not. My fight is for decentralized communities and people who create useful things without dumping on retail. And so my fight is for Bitcoin, and it's for, at this point, I think something like Ethereum is properly decentralized, where it's not quite so reliant upon the foundation. But all these other heroes that we're marching into battle for, I'm not so sure that they should be cast as heroes, because I think the financial model is set up to make retail hold the bag. And that's the way it's been for some of these centralized entities like Solana and others that have done quite well, absent regulation.
Anna, you can respond to that, and then we'll go.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, I agree. Solana doesn't need defense, but the way that they have, the way that they have structured these lawsuits, now Binance as an exchange now has to defend all of these cryptocurrencies that they are, it's a secondary market. They're selling them, but they're not responsible for what, so they should be going directly after Solana and directly after Sam and all, and for example, Polygon. I don't know that Polygon has done anything too malicious. Why are they part of this, part of this lawsuit? So, I agree with you. Some regulations are necessary. Like, I think that all these tokens that came out last month, like Loyal, PsyOps, and all of those things, they're not decentralized. They don't have any utility. Those are securities. Like, I think those are securities, and they should be dealt with that way. But labeling everybody as hucksters and labeling the entire cryptocurrency as an issue, like, as a scam, that's not helpful at all. And if they go after Coinbase, if the next industry that, if they shut down Coinbase access to banks or, freeze assets, it's over for the crypto industry in the US for a while if that happens.
Those are great points. If I can just briefly kind of respond to them. The question why not to go directly after Solana or Polygon or those who sold tokens OTC is a good one. I think the answer would be given that Binance and Coinbase provide that liquidity. They provide these markets for these centralized entities so that it's appealing to the VCs in the first place to even make that investment so that they can have exit liquidity from retail. And so therefore you can kind of consolidate the kind of action that you want to create by putting it against the two biggest exchanges. Yeah, I agree though. Polygon and Solana, like, I'm not hating on them. They've done incredible things and are building some good tech. But the question is whether we should accept as a space this idea of these centralized entities raising money by selling pre-utility tokens, which is what they've done.
Great discussion, great back and forth. Tammy, and then Nico and Joey.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer a quick question. I think it was Sats that was asking about the Fed now before we moved on from that. I do believe from what I've been reading with that, and like Jess said, there isn't a ton of information out there, but it's more of involving with the payment processing end of things and more of like an instant payment. So basically, you wouldn't have to have that lag time or that wait time in between, let's say, making a mortgage payment. You have to wait so many days. So it is a system that's developed, but I don't believe it's been put in place to replace currency or digital currency. So they're trying to really separate it away from the CBDCs. I don't know because they are being so vague about it, but it is more of like an instant payment type process. And I know even back 7 years ago, we started, when I was still in that industry, we started routing things through the Fed instantly instead of going through courier. So they've been working on this for quite some time. We just don't have all the details yet, but I just did want to make that statement that it really, from what they're saying, and I preface that by saying that they aren't releasing a ton of information, it's not to replace currency or has anything basically to do with CBDC or digital.
Thanks, Tammy. Go ahead, Nico.
How much?
I think Nico's rugged. Go ahead, Joey. Or what did
Did I
you
run?
say?
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Oh, now we could hear you.
Yeah, sorry. So I think XRP has spent somewhere along the vicinity of $150 million by themselves. I think we're in a little bit of a better position because Coinbase, Cardano, Polygon, and all of these are being named as securities. Maybe they could pull money together, because I'm not 100% sure what Brian Armstrong is going to do. But did anybody see what's his name's rant? Mr. Wonderful's rant about Brian Armstrong? How he's saying that Gary Gensler actually told him, no, they are securities, don't list them. Like, how do you go on this rant on TV? In the meantime, they went to him 35 times and they went IPO with all of this stuff on their exchange. So I'm not sure who's right here. Did you guys see that with Mr. Wonderful?
Yeah, that was hilarious. He's always saying nonsense. At the same time, this is the same guy that was praising SBF to give SBF a second chance. So anybody that takes him seriously is like, I don't know. But yeah,
But
that was hilarious.
do you see how anti-crypto he is all of a sudden? Like, what's happening over here?
Completely agree. Joey, what's up? Sorry about the wait.
No, you're good. I am a very patient man. I to go back to what somebody said about, scams and, the shitcoin season. And, for anybody that's been here for at least a year, right? What month are we in? June? So maybe maybe a year and a half, right? You remember the scams, the rugs, everything that happened with NFTs, with crypto. And we would sit in these spaces and we would say, oh, decentralization, no regulation, no regulation. Like the most common word and the definition of it to decentralization is anarchy. Like if you look up the definition of decentralization and anarchy, they share so many similarities. And it was only a matter of time before we knew regulation was coming. Anybody who said regulation wasn't going to come was probably, you just hoping and praying. And it's sad that there are a lot of, scams and rug pulls and shit coins and all this stuff that's going on that's kind of, I don't know if that's what's forcing the regulation or not, but I for one want regulation because I want people to be held accountable and to a higher standard. I don't want full government control of smart cities where they're measuring everything you do and then they turn off your bank account because you tweeted something bad or you drove your car too much, right? But we just have to understand that this is the wild, wild west, if not worse than that, right? Like people are robbing banks right in front of us and riding away on their horse and nothing is happening to them. You can thumbs down it all you want, but the rug pulls and scams that happen in this, I have a friend that literally just had everything taken from him. And there's nothing he can do about it. And he's one of the safest, most secure people I know in the space because people are finding new and innovative ways to steal. And if you're okay with
theft is theft, you don't need more regulation to say theft is illegal.
Yeah, but there's no recourse for that theft at this point, though. That's the problem. There's no way for any. Look at what happened when the Solana wallet was hacked, the Phantom wallet, and all that money was stolen. There's no recourse for any of this, and there has to be a common ground between 100% decentralization and 100% regulation.
But the
We can't
recourse is
just have.
prosecuting people for theft and all that, and the government's just not doing that. They're more concerned about prosecuting Kim
But they
No,
can't.
Kardashian
they
and all
don't have a
that.
legal framework within which to prosecute them.
Theft is
Like
theft.
you
You
And they
can't
don't need a
can't.
prosecute
They
someone
framework
don't.
for
for
that.
something
If
that's
I
not technically
steal your
illegal.
digital assets, if I steal your Bitcoin, you could prosecute me for theft. You don't need additional laws.
But that's only if I know you. I don't know. I don't know who your name. I don't know where you
But
live.
I like to chime in on this because I'm kind of like I'm kind of torn on this. So maybe and then Bad, I'll let you go because I know you have an opposite point of view and Emily as well. But somebody posted a vote the other day: freedom to transact or no scammers. It's like saying that in quote unquote Web 2, there's no scams. You could get scammed by a Nigerian prince in your email and you're not going to know who he is. So just because there's regulations, to Bad's point, I'll throw it over to him, just because there's regulation, the scammers are not going to go away, in my personal opinion, because it still happens in Web 2.
And Jess, really quick, I want to 100% agree with you on that because the scams that I saw in working in the industry, it was ridiculous. And they couldn't even find these people. And they were looking for new ways to do it. They would have people use, the money cards, MoneyGram. I mean, you name it. They were scamming and they never found these people. And people would come in, like you're saying, with the Nigerian prince. They would give these people tens of thousands of dollars and scammed, it's gone. They're not getting that back, and no amount of regulation was going to get that money back for them. So I agree with you.
Go ahead, Bad.
No, yeah, and Joey, I hear what you're saying, but it's just, misinterpreting the nature of the state. I mean, the idea that they're here to protect us and, prevent scams is just, not bore out in any, evidence. I mean, if you look like
Oh no, I don't agree with that. I said it earlier before you joined. Like I think I think they're saying they're protecting us is a guise of trying to control us and take their piece. But that doesn't mean I still don't think we should have some regulation.
No, yeah, exactly. I agree with that statement in terms of the guys, but I mean, any regulation they're going to want to implement, is not going to be towards protection. It's going to be towards tyranny. It's going to be, KYC requirements that we don't need that aren't going to prevent scams because they're just going to be overseas. It's going to be, restrictions on which assets we can hold and trade, or just making it, restricting like they do the current system where stocks and everything, where, you can only get in early if you're some big accredited investor or something like that versus the opportunity that's afforded us in this space. And it really just comes down to regular personal responsibility. I mean, trust me, I've been in plenty of rug pulls and things like that. But, I have the understanding that, hey, I put my money in this. I either, A, thought I could get out early, or B, I, fell for some type of scam and I got to take responsibility and learn from that and learn how to do new research. But this idea that, any regulation is going to prevent these scams, I just think is unfounded. I don't see that happening. I mean, you look at, like the mortgage industry, there's wire fraud in that all the time, and that money gets disappeared. If we look at stocks, I mean, you have penny stocks, you have plenty of scams in that. So, it's just, I just don't see where government stepping in and doing anything is going to prevent any type of scam or, help this industry. The only argument for regulation that people say is really so more money can flow in from institutions. But at the end of the day, if it's sacrificing, our decentralized nature and what Bitcoin was originally created for, the freedom for people to transact without interference from the state, then we're just losing the whole plot and it's just going to be another, government controlled scam.
Yeah, so I don't believe in I'm not an extremist, right? I don't agree. I don't believe that all regulation will fix all scams, right? But I do believe that we need some type of accountability when it comes to some of the things that are happening in this space. Like again, spinning up shit coins, right? Like you don't need there's no I think there should be some standard that's required when you're doing stuff in this space that is I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think it'll fix every single scam 100%. I know they'll always be there, but I just would love to see more accountability in the space, and whether that's regulation or not, I don't know.
I mean, I think the
Yeah,
way to
real
solve
quick,
that is with the
real
tech,
quick, Brad.
to be able to identify
Wait, let
these.
Dal go.
Yeah,
He
So,
go ahead,
gets
Dal.
so
co-host
real
privilege.
quick, Brad. I think the framing is wrong, right? You guys are talking as if the space has not been asking for regulation for years. Coinbase has been asking for regulation. Many of the actors, the leading actors in the industry, have been asking for regulation. The issue in the United States is that, as Peter was saying, the regulation is happening through enforcement, not by rulemaking. When you go to Europe, you go to Hong Kong and other places, they're happy to provide clarity. The issue is that for the actors who want to be regulated, they don't even know how to get that conversation started. So the SEC is not providing any form of regulation and protection for the users. That's the issue. It's not necessarily that people don't want it. It's the type of regulation that people want. It's just clarity. So to frame as if the SEC is finally coming regulation is simply false. They're just trying to stamp down the industry in the United States. And this is part of, in my opinion, a bigger action called Operation Choke Point 2.0 is to starve off the industry from any kind of liquidity, any kind of investment, any kind of rule making. So, in my opinion, what people should be talking about is more the narrative of how do we actually provide those rules so that everybody knows what to do, what's a commodity, what's a security, and how to get registered. But fundamentally, to say that people who create their coin, there should be some kind of rules or against that, to me, that makes no sense because the space is supposed to be permissionless, right? Like if you want to create a coin, you should be free to do so. Like a kid should be able to create a coin. The issue is, there's some certain actors like exchanges, centralized exchanges, that we hold your coin or custodial for you. There should be rules, and if they're trying to commingle your funds with the investment, that's a problem. But the idea that the space should be KYC'd up and everybody should have to know who you are before you're able to trade in crypto, to me, that doesn't make sense.
I just want to say real quick, I agree with your framing in terms of like that, Coinbase and everyone was asking for regulation, things like that. I've always rejected those arguments and have been critical of Coinbase for that. But, I understand why they're doing that because they are a company. And part of that is because this track record we're seeing, because if you know the nature of the state, then, any new regulation that's passed is going to be twisted and used against them for nefarious reasons. So I reject the entire argument, but you're correct in terms of how you framed it.
Great points all around, but let's get Emily a chance to speak. I know she's had her hand up for a minute. Hey, Emily. Oh, and if and I do have a request. So if anybody already spoken can drop down. I have somebody that wants to come
I'll
up.
drop down for you, Jess.
Oh, no worries, Joey. Come back up. Come back up.
GM, what's up?
Oh, Flu already dropped down. That was fast. So no worries, Joey.
How's it going?
Everybody left now. Sorry,
All
Emily.
good. Fascinating conversation. I have not been hanging in spaces because it's been dull as fuck lately. But I think that there's a lot to be said about the U.S. government in particular's actions against crypto and inaction against regular financial fraud. There is a long tradition of white collar crimes in America, and there's also a very long tradition of, um, let's see, building laws in response to criminal action as opposed to creating laws to protect consumers. And that's exactly where we are right now. And you can see this in the American culture of lawsuits. Um, and I think that that truly stems from the kind of, I mean, a true American tradition of wanting freedoms, but those freedoms come with a disregard for consumer protections or just general guidelines, whereas most businesses are going to do whatever they can get away with until somebody comes back around and sues them. And I'm not talking about this from a crypto perspective initially, but like I think one of the biggest examples that people can look at is like the McDonald's hot coffee thing. Where they were able to serve coffee basically hot enough to melt the flesh off your skin because someone did a study that said it tastes better longer, therefore they have to brew less of it, therefore they can make more money, without any regard for what might happen to an individual, right? So like the landmark case there, what I think it was like the 30 something lawsuit brought against McDonald's at that point, but it finally made headlines for whatever reason. And I think it's because of the size of the initial settlement that was ultimately reduced. But like the woman who was damaged in that case was brutally scarred, and like her daughter lost her job and like was not able to, you know, cover those medical bills, whatever. But like this is just a really good example of the American culture of consumer protections don't necessarily need to exist until somebody comes around and sues them. And this is one of the ways that Americans perceive their freedom. They can do whatever they want until someone says you cannot. However, what's interesting about crypto is that fiat scams are very prevalent, right? Like we have a lot of financial laws in place to attempt to protect your average consumer and your average fiat and I guess like citizen of a government, but they are not super functional because those laws move exceptionally slow. And I think the reason that the government is taking so much action right now is because they feel that it's the devil they don't know how to manage, right? So like they have an idea and there's conceptual laws. You know, we have like antitrust laws, and then there's rules around what you can do with a not-for-profit, and then there's, you know, guidelines for your taxes and how you can you know, get tax write-offs by doing things that the government has chosen to not support. And, you know, all of this comes down to really just a low effort way of managing these loopholes that they've created through complexity instead of actually addressing the problem, right? Like the reason that the people need more money to do whatever it is they want to do, because that's the path to making even more money, right? Like wealthy enough individuals can write their own loans and write their own terms, and now they're printing money just like the Fed does. And you know, really wrapping your head around the financial ecosystem of the US in particular, because it is very unique compared to the rest of the world, and how finance laws work, I think is significant. And I think that that alone will highlight how so much of what has gone on in crypto has been able to go on. You know, every other country that has uh, good financial markets has put in efforts to define exactly how crypto is used, exactly how on ramps and off ramps are used, exactly what you can do as far as you know, taking leveraged bets on plays. All of these things have very distinct rules, how the taxes work, all of it. And the US has kind of waited for their opportunity to turn around and make the most of it the best that they can. I think the US does know that there is no real way that they're going to get out of it, but they're going to try to slow it down as much as possible until they can find their loophole to leverage ahead of the scammers. The thought that scammers don't exist in fiat is like probably the most laughable thing that I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. It's so much easier to scam in fiat with like physical dollars than it is in crypto, because crypto is traceable. The thing about crypto in general, though, is that every time that you lose, it's because you agreed to make a transaction to you know, have the crypto leave your wallet. So, you know, these the reality of the technology is, you know, absolutely something government does not understand, but I think they're just waiting for their opportunistic moment, and they've chosen now.
Great take. And on that point, before I get to the rest of the hands, just two quick things that happened this week. Yeah, so Gensler's calling everybody in crypto scammers and what is it, hucksters or something like that. But then again, earlier this week, JP Morgan teamed up with 6 Indian banks to settle interbank dollar transactions on their blockchain-based platform called Onyx. And then this other company called CBOE, they just received approval for trading marginal Bitcoin and Ether. And this is and Ethereum. Why am I saying Ether? That's how they wrote it out. And this is a US company. So they got approval from the CFTC to trade margin Ether and Bitcoin. It's like, how is this all happening while Gensler is saying that crypto is a scam? It just doesn't make sense. Like, watch what they do and not what they say. Who had their hand up next? I have no clue. All right, we'll go to Jonathan, Nico, then we, then Bad, then Peter. I saw Peter put his hand up last.
I will say that, man, this is part of my language. This is a great fucking conversation, and I'm so glad that I woke up in enough time to be here to listen to all this because y'all all have like really great points, and it's it's still just crazy to me that yeah, they're literally like playing both sides of the line, like showing you stuff in your face, but then trying to do stuff in the back channels that they think you're not going to find out about, but then we find out about. But let's just be honest. I don't know in one time in history where the government wasn't trying to find some kind of way to control literally everything so that they can monetize literally everything. And they do that a lot. You know, you put a bill through and there's some things that some people get to see and there's some things people get to see more of, and then it comes out and you're like, oh crap, we got screwed like literally all the way around, and what we thought we were getting was like the smallest percentage of what they actually kept talking about. So that transparency thing, to be honest with you, has never been the government's thing. It's always been, you know, people getting lobbied and getting paid off and getting things through, and then they just kick the can down the road and somebody else tries to figure it out and they keep kicking it again. So I think this election cycle that's coming around has really like stirred all this up to the top for them to try to take, for whoever is trying to take power. And at this point, I was always independent, but now I'm coming to look at it where I'm getting cool. I'm cool with Democrats. I'm cool with Republicans, either gang, I would say. And now I'm looking to talk to people that are about crypto and not about what gang they're actually in, or are they Bloods or the Crips. So who's ever trying to fight for um, a better way for us to be able to use crypto and not have it go to another country? Because if they just, you know, they make it to where none of us can use it, I'm sorry to tell you, me and my daughter's going to have to pack up and bounce because I just don't have time for that. And I really like crypto because it's changed my life. You know, it's what helped me and my daughter at a very hard time. I didn't have a lot of money coming in, but me being able to read charts and be able to put money in my whole check to be able to make money to get her through dance classes that are very expensive and paying for stuff when I wasn't making enough. That's very important to me. And taking that away, it's like you're not cutting people off at the legs, you're cutting them off at the waist. Like you could implode people's life. So I just find it very important to really get this down right. But to think that what they're gonna do is to help us, I'm not seeing it, because you got to find me in history where they've actually done that. Honestly.
Great take, Jonathan. Completely agree. Nico, you're up.
So, I'm trying to find the stat, but I heard it somewhere. This year was a pretty bad year for the IRS. They didn't collect what they were expecting to collect, and that could be another reason why we're getting hammered right now too.
Yeah, that's a good take. I see you're new up here. Welcome.
Hi, and thank you. Um, so cybercrime is supposed to hit $10.5 trillion by 2025. Every 2 seconds, someone's information that's personal gets stolen offline. And the $10.5 trillion, just to paint a picture, is just under China's total economic value. And we can sit around and talk about regulation and everything all day long, but here in America, if we're going to complain about it, we need to get up and do something about it. And there is a way to do that. I post things in the Purple Pill, and there's a way to invest in the crypto community and keep on reinvesting in the small guy. Now, I will tell you that over the past 3 years, I personally have witnessed attacks on small businesses. And, you know, the question is, why small businesses? The stock market. Who gets attacked in the stock market? Why do certain things go from being really, really expensive, you know, per unit price stock quota down to, you know, 1,000 suddenly to $600? You've got major players moving internally massive amounts of funds, and it has to be calculated with people who know how to do such in the stock market, and then you can see manipulation. And if that can be done in the stock market, which is regulated by the SEC, who now has been taking several entities to court and filing suits, it can be done in the crypto market as well. Yes, there's transparency, but everybody in crypto knows crypto better than the government. I didn't hear about it till really 2019. And the thing is now is the time to step up and create a business that will allow regulation, but allows an entity between the government and the communication systems. I would definitely check out, like the Erickson report. Michael Corey spent a long time putting that together, but it outlines a lot of things for the reasons behind what's happening in the economy, period, is happening. And we do have to be adamant and awake and conscious about what's going on in our economy. So there have been several major failures by major businesses. And just one more thing, if you are dealing with a small business and you have a data breach, the minimum to clean up a data breach is $3 million. Most small businesses don't come out the gate with a $3 million net profit that they can spend on cleaning up a data breach. And there has been a ton of data breaches. So please look at that, because that's something that we need to be wary about. But in the same moment, it's something that we can take action about.
Great points. Appreciate you sharing that information. And thanks for coming up and contributing. Go ahead, Bad, and then we'll go to Peter, and then we'll go to Brooke.
Yeah, I just want to say, people like Joey, I like Joey. He's a nice guy. He's like a good guy. Joey's great. But I argue against like the point like he's making passionately, because this is how, when you study history, pretty much every regulation has passed and always leads to tyranny down the road. I mean, if you can go back to something even like the income tax, which was unconstitutional, they had to pass a constitutional amendment. The message given to the people was this is only going to apply to people over $1 million income in 1920, so that's like an astronomical amount. You're never going to get taxed like this. We're just going to pass this. That's all you're going to do. And now it takes 30 to 50% of our income every year. If you look at any one of these regulations, they're either mired in corruption being passed or corruption after the fact between the revolving door between the state, think tanks, and corporations. So that's why I go against this type of stuff, because I know it's not going to solve the problem, and it's only going to be used as a method for government to implement tyranny that we don't want. So any regulation is what I reject, but I understand why people take that, because it is a reasonable take. But then that's what they use to be able to put what they really want in.
Yeah,
So
Joey, respond. Go ahead.
yeah, super quick. So Bad, I'm totally on your team. Like I am a total tinfoil hat wearer. I think that's what people like to call us, right? But I truly believe 100% that the government does things under the guise of we're here to protect our citizens, when really it's because they want a slice of the pie. They want to keep control. They don't want to give any of it up. Like I'm totally in favor of that. But I'm also not in favor of anarchy. Like I do think we need some laws and regulations. I do think we've gotten to a point to where our government is way too powerful, not to make this political, way too powerful, overreaches, has too much control over things. So while I say I would like regulation, I'm not saying I want, total, complete, regulation where we have no say in anything. But I do think there are some areas of this space that could use some oversight. You made the analogy about the income tax. For those of you that have been in New York or from New York, the Verrazano Bridge was built, which connected Staten Island to Brooklyn. And the Verrazano Bridge, when it was originally built, you were only supposed to pay a toll on the bridge until the bridge was paid off. That was how they sold this bridge to the people of New York and New Jersey, right? Now you can't cross that bridge for less than like $25 or something.
Dude,
like that.
I was a cab driver here up until last year. It's insane. But go on.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, so like that's the state of New York saying like, hey, too bad, we're just going to keep collecting money from you for this bridge that we promised you wouldn't have to pay for once it was. So I get it, bad. I'm totally on your team with so much of this, and I just would love, I would love some, but not complete government overreach, and I don't know if that's possible, right? It maybe I'm like wishing for a unicorn.
Exactly, and that's kind of like my point. It ends up usually being a unicorn. I think the only way to really solve these issues is self-regulation within our own space. Us taking personal responsibility, and then the technology aspect. I mean, with all this like little shitcoin season we had, I did see like new tools I didn't see in the last one that can like analyze contracts and show, hey, this is going to be a rug or not. So I think those are the solutions we have to be looking for and building, rather than looking to the state to solve some of these issues, because like you were alluding to, it usually ends up being a unicorn.
Great points. Great points. Go ahead, Peter. I know you've had your hand up, and then we'll go to Brooke and Johnny.
Yeah, it's cool to hear the folks discussing kind of the legitimacy of the administrative state, because I think that's the proper conversation rather than like whether the SEC is applying the laws correctly. Like, someone raised the point earlier, like how can this action happen at the same time that, what was it, JP Morgan made that agreement with some Indian banks to achieve settlement layers on the blockchain? I mean, the answer to that is, again, fairly simple. That situation with JP Morgan doesn't involve anybody selling tokens directly to retail investors who are subsequently hoping for profit. That's just a private entity using technology however it wants to settle transactions. And I'm confident Gary would say, like, yeah, that's not within our jurisdiction. The SEC's rules and regulations, reasonable minds can disagree about what they mean. But I don't think it's unreasonable to say that they were meant to prevent exactly the kind of conduct that does happen relentlessly in Web3, which is someone says, buy something from me and I will later on make you a lot of money because of awesome shit that I do. I mean, we know that happens all the time. So the point I just want to emphasize is to pick your heroes carefully. When the SEC sues Coinbase and Binance, like, it's easy to say they're attacking crypto, but let's not forget Binance made $12 billion in revenue in 2022. Like, does that come back to us, or are they extracting liquidity from us? And yeah, we can say they're doing a lot to move the space forward and gain us adoption, but what does adoption mean? It means that we're looking forward to dumping our own bags on people who are coming in because of the labors of Binance and Coinbase. So, money is finite, and it's pretty much a zero-sum game at this point as everyone tries to deduce what objective utility means. So, like, I'm not going to be out here saying I'm all that concerned when, the SEC commissioner does something that he was ostensibly appointed to do and applies the rules in a defensible manner. And we can disagree, again, about whether, it's even legitimate to have an administrative agency enforcing when there's a new technology here. And that's what's going to get litigated. And, we'll see federal judges agree and disagree with this until the Supreme Court finally weighs in like, whatever, 5 years, 10 years. But also, let's not forget, there's an election coming up. And as soon as a new administration comes in, if it does, whether in 2024 or the subsequent election, like, all this might change too. So I'm not going to be out here all that worried, except to the extent that Bad is about whether such institutions are even legitimate in the first place. But the institution existing as it is, like, I don't think it's going too far beyond its mandate, I guess, is my point.
Great balanced opinion. Thanks. I know, Peter, sometimes we go rogue in here. Somebody, I think it was you, Johnny, you sent a DM that this feels like an underground railroad. Is that what this space feels like?
Wait, not Underground Railroad. Underground Revolution, like ham radio. Underground Railroad is something different. I'd be happy to be involved in that. This is like the guerrilla warfare. This is the channel that everyone secretly tunes their radio to, like on Last of Us, to get
do you really expect us to be like, yes, Gary Gensler is here to protect us? Like, come on, Gensler. Like, he's doing this for the investors. Like, you really expect us to say that?
No,
like,
I don't expect you to say that. I do think we do need to be careful, though, about just saying, like, the government is this, the government is that. Like, in the United States,
I mean, the government just, we're going to have to get political at some point.
Is it freedom of speech, bro? What are they going to do? Round us up now? Like,
No,
indicted a former president. Like the government is out of control right now.
hang
It's a
on.
shit
Okay,
show.
you're going there. You're going
Pretending to be
there.
a humanitarian organization. That's all they are.
I mean,
Yeah,
Johnny.
yeah. I think the issue is when we say the government, like we tend to say that, right? They, but it's quite decentralized in the United States, right? So at
Yes.
least there's some pushback, right? So there's definitely some branches that are doing some crazy stuff and they're out of control, but it seems that there's a lot of pushback now, and I'm happy to hear that.
All right. So just to speak on behalf of those who support like a federalist government, it's decentralized yet centralized in a lot of ways. We had, like, if you look at Silicon Valley Bank collapse, that collapse is directly proportionate to the rolling back of regulations of banks that size. If you look at the Great Depression, we had banks just going completely unregulated, doing whatever they want. When the corruption and cronyism isn't unique, and not because of government. It's because you have powerful players manipulating government and other entities that use government to get their way. Government is this vehicle, right? And like the folks who were on at the beginning of this show, we need to get involved in that, right? Instead of banding up and saying, well, the government, the regulators, well, guess what? Like, get involved. By the way, there's very thoughtful legislation coming through that has a great framework for making sure people who issue digital tokens to raise funds for a blockchain startup do it under supervision, so they're not scamming you, which, by the way, look around. There's scams everywhere here, and you can't just say, oh, but look, fiat does scamming too. Like, that doesn't exculpate this industry. There's scams everywhere, rug pulls, bad actors, and we can't just ignore that. We can't be like the politics of today, where you only look at your framework and you only everyone else. It's like what Elizabeth Warren is doing. They're a bunch of hucksters and blah blah blah. We're doing that from the other side. We're doing that from the other side, and we have to say, okay, how can we use the United States government? Regulation is coming. Are we going to be, complaining while getting scammed about Gary Gensler, or are we going to say, hey, look, the other branch, the Congress, who directs Gary Gensler, is bringing legislation that is thoughtful, written by informed people. By the way, government, they're not a bunch of idiots. They know about this technology probably better than most people in this room. They're putting together something that's going to protect a lot of people while allowing for innovation. Like, that's, like Peter said it too, like, where's the nuanced stance here? Like, do we have to be anti-government, anti-regulation? If we want to get scammed, let us get scammed. I don't think so. I want to see more voices in the middle ground.
But
That's all.
And by the way, real quick, congrats, Johnny, becoming officially a lawyer. You can tell by the way you use words like escapade, get tripped up in his vocabulary. Please bring more words and grammar to a conversation, Johnny. Appreciate it.
yeah, Johnny, I just have to push back on that, where you're describing it as this vehicle and, we should kind of take the wheel. I mean, the vehicle has always been corrupt and used regulation, to their advantage. I mean, at what point in history can you point to it hasn't? It's only grown the nature of
Who's they? Who's they?
the state,
Who's
the
there?
people in the government.
Who?
This idea, I'll put it plainly, where this idea that we, the people, if you can't find a difference between us and the people in power right now, I don't know what you're looking at. They have their club. We're not in it.
Yeah, how is Nancy Pelosi have hundreds of millions of dollars if she's been a civil servant her whole life?
Okay, so they then is not the government state. The government state is this means by which people who control the government enact power.
But
right? So the government itself, like some bureaucrat, is not
restrict individuals. That's just the nature of government.
But I think what Johnny's saying, right? And I used to say that all the time, like, who's they? Because the moment you put a name to those different agents, even within the SEC, right? You have people like Hester Peirce who definitely disagree with Gary Gensler. And it seems like Gary Gensler is not going to be there forever, right? There's probably going to be a time where he moves on. And there was a time where we used to say Jay Clayton was the worst thing to the SEC. Can't wait for him to be gone. And when he was gone, we got left with Gary Gensler. So each person that is leading a cabinet or a position, they don't necessarily have coordination with other cabinet. The CFTC does not agree with the SEC, and the SEC sometimes will align with DOJ, but sometimes the DOJ will not agree with them. So I think it is a good question that Johnny is asking, is that when we talk about the government, we actually do need to refer to specific agencies, specific people in those positions.
Well, I think my major point was, it's not like everybody who's ever been in government is evil. I mean, Ron Paul was a congressman. But my point is that these agencies, in particular, the administrative state, is by definition a corrupting influence for people who are in there. There may be a few good people in there, but the incentives within these agencies are to grow and to take more power. That's why you're seeing this SEC and CFTC fight, because they both want restrictions over this industry so they can grow their agencies and acquire more power. That's the incentives that are built into these places.
Peter, I'll compromise on you. I do agree that the administrative branch, like the secret fourth branch of government, is becoming bloated and too powerful. And part of the reason that's happening is because Congress is so debilitated by extreme uncompromising views that the only way anything gets done is through bureaucrats who don't have to go through the gridlock. And so it's on us to start being more nuanced in our approach to politics and who we're supporting, and not taking these hardline Republicans versus Democrats views, so that our Congress can start working and passing legislation to take away power from that fourth state.
Well,
I agree with the administrative
Congress has
state.
given up their power to regulate and pushed that to the executive branch and administrative state over many, many decades, because all they're cared about is their re-elections. They don't want to answer these questions. They want to push it to the state. They don't want to, figure out how to legislate these things. They just want them. And I would also just argue that, if you go back to the ratifying conventions and read that, 90% of this government is unconstitutional in the first place. They were never meant to have this type of power to regulate commerce and stuff like that. The commerce powers were really just to solve disputes between states and facilitate free trade, but it's become the complete opposite of that. So it's just been this state growing and growing, and people have a warped perception of where it was supposed to be and what powers this government has by their government schools and all that have taught them so.
Great point. Great point. All right. Let me. Oh, go ahead, Jay. No. Let me chime in, because I said Brooke like an hour ago. You guys were going off for a while. So and Jacob, I do want to make sure I get to you and Leo, because you guys are also new speakers up here. But we do need to. We've been going on this topic for a while, for an hour. Let's reset. Emotions are high. Congratulations, Johnny. Brooke, welcome. Good morning. And sorry, we are having technical issues with requests. I know, Tammy, I saw your DM. So sorry about if you are trying to come up and there were some issues. Go ahead, Brooke.
Oh, no, I think it's funny. Like, would you like me to, have a little meditation? Everyone just kind of chill out. No, I like these discussions. I come in here because the smart people are here. So, yeah, this is all just so wild. But I also remember, like, yeah, I think the article that you just posted up there is like, he can try to take down the crypto industry, but he's not going to be able to take down crypto. Like the price is the same, like nothing happened. And I just remember vividly, the 2008 financial crisis, which wasn't, government, but it was kind of like the government allowed for all of that craziness to happen. And then from that became this, the Bitcoin blockchain movement as a solution to these problems. So it's like, I just don't see how crypto itself can ever be, they can try, but it's never going to be like truly taken down. It's just too big. It can't. Yeah. So it's just always interesting to watch, like the powers that be, they right now, like who are they, but the attempts at trying to break this, and it's just not going to work. It's just going to make people more like interested in it. And it's like the kid that it's told, like, don't go in that room, or don't do that, that's bad, and the kid's just going to go in there. So I feel like it brings a lot of attention to crypto, and it just in general, when people are like shitting on it. And then we were like, ooh, what is this over here that they told me not to look at? And I don't know, like look at a different perspective. But yeah, I love when all the smart guys come up here and tell us about the legal stuff.
Yeah, we got a bunch of lawyers here today. Mixed feelings about that, but we appreciate your input. No, I love you guys. Johnny just tells it keeps me on my toes, so I like that. Thanks, Brooke, for stepping up, and definitely want you to contribute. Jacob, sorry about that. Feel free to chime into the conversation. I know you had your hand up for a minute.
Yeah, I really wanted to talk about I feel like it's just arguing semantics and language at the point between Peter and Johnny, right? You can say government, they. What it is we're upset at broken systems, systems that have failed us. And so we're looking to blame somebody, something, anything, right? And so a big part of that is the people who have exacerbated these systems and brought it to a point where they're crumbling, whether it's the financial institutions, whether it's the healthcare institutions. I mean, fuck, there are people right now who are being denied disability who actively cannot live their life the way that you and me can. They are quite literally disabled. And the harsh truth and the harsh reality is we're living with these broken systems and we're upset. We're very upset because it stifles innovation, it stifles growth. And things like concentration of power, concentration of money, BlackRock owning basically 10% of the global supply of money is just fucking insane to me that any one entity can own such a large supply of the world's financial institution. It blows my mind. And to think about these things, you have to think about the power and influence that comes with that. Sure, there are absolutely people in government who will abuse these systems for their own self-benefit and their own self-gain. But to Johnny's point, there are people who are upset about these broken systems and they're trying to fix it. And we're just differentiating at this point, how do we fix this broken system? Do we keep up with the systems that we currently have, or do we place our bets on new ones with crypto? I mean, that's all that crypto is it's new systems being built up. They haven't been tested, right? These are things that haven't been long-term tested or used on the scale of a nation. So it is a very risky thing. It's not something that a large amount of people are just going to hop into. Okay, this untested technology that's still being built. Yeah. From the standpoint of a regulator, this is just kind of like people arguing in the kiddie box in the background, right? Playing in the sandbox. And they don't want any part of that. At least some people don't. Others can see the value in which these systems bring to enhance the quality of life that we currently have. And it's real shitty when the rate of inflation has rose to astronomical levels where it used to mean minimum wage used to mean that a single income can afford a house for 4 people. It was the American dream, right? You get married, you have your wife and kids, or you have your husband and kids, 4-family household, and you can afford that on a minimum wage income. That used to be the American dream. Now the American dream is, oh, I hope I can afford rent next month.
Did he cut off or he finished? Because you were going on and I was clapping in the background.
Oh no, that's it. That's it. I rugged myself at a certain point, otherwise I'll keep talking.
I mean, where's the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want with our money? Like, excuse my language. Like, where is that part of it? And I'm sorry, again, Johnny's gonna say this is an underground railroad show. Who is next? Leo. I said Leo because he was new. Leo, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon. Good discussion. Just want to give my 2 cents. Not that I have any sense, but just like Jacob just mentioned, the system is fucked up. The system is broken. When they say, oh, they swore an oath to office, that means nothing because, the health system, the tax brackets, the way they do it, politicians don't care about that. They get free healthcare, for instance. And you got Genslers coming in here and saying, okay, we're gonna do this. It's almost like they're just freaking taking a whip in here. You're gonna take it, just like you mentioned BlackRock. I think that's huge. I mean, people are not opening their eyes to see what's happening, and they say, okay, we're gonna go ahead and change it. This is just for FUDers or drug dealers or this and this and that. But how many of these politicians don't get their hands washed or don't get money? But the reason they don't want this to be in digital currency is because they know they'll be tracked. So of course they're going to want to stay away from all this Bitcoin and this and that. But you know what? They're creating the digital dollar, digital, whatever you want to call that. So it's just almost like a whole hypocrite of a system, and they want to regulate everything. They don't want us to have any rights. I mean, can you believe us as a human? They're telling us, hey, by the way, I know you're not, for instance, don't take this wrong, I know you're not on welfare. I know you're making plenty of money, but I'm going to show you how to spend your fucking money. I'm going to show you what to buy. I'm going to show you what to when. Here's your, by the way, next week, we're going to increase the rate another 0.5. So now we're really going to take you out of the market. You can't buy a house. Your rent's going to be more than your mortgage after you foreclose. Where are you going to go to then? So it's just a whole fucked up system we have right now. And they just continue to fucking throw it on us over and over and over. And that's a disappointing part, because no matter what type, whether it's Democrat or Republican, it doesn't even matter, because as soon as they get sworn in, something happened. It's just it's just a never ending cycle. And that's all I had.
May I ask a quick question, guys? Because he brought up houses. Do we actually own the mineral rights to our houses? And if we do not, what happens when the government decides, or the system decides, that they want the mineral rights that our property lies, or that our home lies upon?
Well, property taxes existed, so no, you don't own your home. The government does.
No, those are some. I love the passion, Leo. I mean, everybody's fed up, and yeah, I would love to see Nancy Pelosi's wallet on the blockchain. Like, yeah, I'm all for that. Put it on the blockchain. Let's see what you're doing. Who was
And one
next?
last thing, Jess. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut. One last thing is
go
like,
ahead after Joe. Go ahead, Leo, and then Joey.
you know damn well, fucking Gensler, how the whole shit fucking came about. There's no fucking way he can tell me that he literally doesn't have a fucking crypto wallet somewhere. There's no way in hell. We won't know, but there's no way in hell he's against fucking crypto. That's the last thing I had to say.
Go ahead, Joey.
Just real quick on the housing thing, and this goes to like what we talked about earlier about like the age of people in power. In the last 20 years, the average cost of a house has gone up like 128%, where the average income in the United States has only gone up something stupid like 30%, right? So like the days of where your grandparents and your parents were like, oh, buy a house. That's how you create generational wealth for your family, right? Like invest in the S&P 500, right? Like we're just not like, there's a lot of people in real estate and investors that are telling people that in 18 years, the children that are born today won't be able to afford homes in 18 years because of the rising costs of homes, and how companies like BlackRock and other big investments in VCs are buying up all of these homes to turn them all into rentals. So like, forget investing in college funds, buy a condo or a townhouse for your kid, let some renters pay it off over 18 years, and then give that to them so they have a second, like a form of income through the rentals, or they can sell that house for 5 or 10x, or they have somewhere to live. And that goes to the point of what Jacob was saying, is like, we're just, the older generation, they have a different mentality when it comes to finance and financials. And I think that's where we need the younger generation to step up and say, like, that doesn't work anymore. That's not what we all want. We need to frame our thinking into what actually makes sense. Like it just, me alone, I bought a house in 2021 for $500,000. My house is now worth $750,000. Okay, like it's insane what's happening when it comes to cost of living, wages. And so I just wanted to add that because I'm big into real estate.
Yeah,
So
but Joey, you're checking the
I
wrong
just
source. The sources are the Federal Reserve, local zoning regulations, and shit. What was the third one? I forgot. But my point is, the enemy at the end of the day for all that is government. I mean, BlackRock is just. Oh, the other one was taxes and the incentives for homes from an investment standpoint. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all again comes back to government and BlackRock responding to the incentives they set.
I just want to ask Johnny really quickly, how do you think that we can approach that? Because quite honestly, the generational difference between thinking is at the core root of the problem. When I talk to my dad, he'll say, just bring yourself up by your bootstraps, work harder. Like there's no fucking problems. You kids are so lazy. And the thing is, I'm gonna be pushing 30 in a few years, and it's fucking wild to me. The disparity in people's hearts, in people's dreams, where there are people alive, my friends I know today, who quite honestly don't believe that they'll ever be able to own property or a home because of their current living situation. And it's
So
sad.
first of all, Jacob, pushing 30 might be the most offensive thing that's been said in this space.
I'm sorry. I'm a young guy. I'm sorry.
I am turning
Yeah, that's
42 this
bad.
year, Johnny. I am hurt by you saying pushing 30.
Look it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it in any offensive way. I understand. I'm a little young. I'm a little wee baby, and I'm upset. I'm very upset at
No,
the
but you
fact that
should be. You should be upset because at this point, in previous generations, at your point in your life, you were making the type of money that would allow you to buy a very nice home for either your current family or your future family that you knew in 10, 20, 30 years you could sell or leave to your children. And so you should be upset. Like everybody should be upset at what's happening.
Then we went off the gold standard.
I would rather leave my
hold on.
children one
Oh, go ahead,
Bitcoin
Umbrella.
than
Yeah, I was gonna go to you. Go ahead. Sorry.
I would rather leave my children one Bitcoin each than give them any condo because it's going to be worth way more than what a condo will be worth. I just think like historically, yes, versus the US dollar, real estate's done well because the Fed money printer's gone burr, so naturally all asset classes have gone up. But to me, real estate is not a great investment unless you're an expert in it. So I know from personal experience, both myself and other people, is unless you're an expert in it, like managing it, investing in it, choosing the right one, I just think personally think it's a bad investment decision. We all here because a lot of us are at least here because we believe in kind of crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. I don't see, if I recommend to everyone, at least put, obviously what you can afford to lose, but get a hardware wallet, put some Bitcoin, potentially even Ethereum on it, store it in a safety deposit box or a safe, whatever is your safest way of keeping it, and keep that, for your children. Because, in 10, 15 years time, I can tell you right now, the price appreciation on that is going to be worth way more than a condo, just in my point of view, at least.
Do you mind if I butt in with that? Because I feel like the problem is, what money do these people have to invest when 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck? What money do we have to throw around in things that can go to zero and speculation where these people don't have knowledge about blockchain? I spent, years learning about this technology before I ever started investing any money into it. And even now it's like I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. The problem is the standard of living, the living standard and quality of living has gone down so far that the bare minimum necessities are looked at as luxuries.
So Damon John said something to your point about people living paycheck to paycheck. Damon John has this analogy where he says it's the rule of threes. The first dollar should go towards paying your expenses, right? Then the second dollar should be invested. And then the third dollar is what goes to like your luxury items, right? Like you want to go out to dinner, you want to go, and people in this country have lost sight of that, to your point of where, me and my friends always talk about how we want to move, and we're like, we don't want to be house poor, right? Like it just there, that rule of three of having the opportunity to invest is really difficult because normal everyday items just to live have gotten to the point of where it's not a third of your income anymore. To your point, it's 60% of your income. So then there's nothing left. And to push back on what Umbrella was saying, like, I don't disagree. Crypto, invest in it, diversify 100%. But there is one thing on this planet that there is a finite amount of. One thing, and that's real estate. That real estate has performed better than any other, investment to this point. And it will continue to do that. The more properties that get bought right now in America, we're 2.5 million homes short of inventory. Okay. So there's only so much land that can be built and apartments that can be built. And if you have the ability to own those, you will position yourself in a place to create additional streams of revenue. And yes, I hired management companies to help with my rental properties because I don't know how to manage them. And I'm still able to make money. So you don't have to be an expert. My dad told me, hire people that know what you don't know so you don't have to know everything.
Little bit.
There's only 21 million Bitcoin. So when you say
Not
real
financial
estate is a
advice. Not financial
finite
advice.
asset class, Bitcoin actually is the only asset class that has a finite supply and will not increase in supply. I can tell you that right now. Real estate, we don't know. What if we colonize Mars? What if we colonize the moon? Then real estate becomes infinite, right? So
Yeah,
What
but
if they raise the
Wait,
block?
wait,
What if they
wait,
raise the
guys,
numbers?
guys, you guys gotta let me talk. I'm sorry. I typically don't mute the room, but we're coming down to the 30-hour mark. I can't let you guys go into a real estate versus Bitcoin discussion because we will never end, and especially with Hector up here. And we got Leo trying to come back up. Everybody has hands up, and we only got 30 minutes left because I do have to go to Joy's space at 1. So I'll let you guys finish your last points, and then I would like to move it along to the rest of the speakers and make sure we could get Leo back up here as well.
Good, because we could talk about this for hours. I want to let everybody else speak who's been waiting.
Umbrella, any last points on that?
I guess, everyone doesn't realize that Bitcoin literally has a finite supply. And with the additional utility that's been brought on with ordinals, that actual supply is coming down because you need 10,000 Satoshis to be able to inscribe an ordinal. So each ordinal that is inscribed, it doesn't directly burn, but let's call it a pseudo burns 10,000 Satoshis. And we've seen those ordinal numbers shooting through the roof. So yes, the total supply is 21 million, but it's actually like it's actually coming down over time. So let's call
That was
Bitcoin
a
is
great.
is deflationary at the moment.
That was a great introduction for Hector. I felt like you just said that just for Hector to react. Hector, the floor is yours.
Wait, no.
No, let him
Hector's
go. Let him go.
waiting.
Let him go.
Steven's been waiting, and Peter's been waiting, and I'm sorry, but yeah, we'll give Hector a chance to fill us in with his thoughts for the day. Go ahead, Steven.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I got a bit of a brain freeze because I was just chucking beers with Gary G. We call him the Tank. It's Friday over here at the SEC. I'm an actor. Anyway, it's crazy though to think that we have all of these people in here. We're so passionate about this. First of all, we forgot about the Apple headset already. That's just like 2 days ago. But this, first of all, regulation is inevitable. We've never really had control of our money until we had this space. Getting money out of banks and putting money into banks even has always been a problem, especially when you're dealing with large sums of money, and the blockchain solved all of that. And with transactions in an instant, and the fact that the SEC is all of a sudden laying down a hammer, it just goes to show you that they don't know what to do. And I think it makes our country overall look bad, to put it bluntly. It's, where are we in ingenuity and innovation? We're supposed to be, number one, right? We're number one, but yet we're going to stranglehold this whole technology by placing, the lawsuits and saying everything is a security. And maybe in a couple of years, this will be good and good things will come of this because it will be a safer space potentially, but there's still going to be fraud and scammers in every space, in everything. It's the fact that we're so focused is because, everybody's saying, oh, look over here. But that also, to sum it everything, it makes me bullish more on the space. If they're going, holy shit, we gotta do something about this, and it's like 10 years later, which is a joke, but it's like, okay, well then there's really something there, and they really don't know what they're doing. We're coming up to an election year. Everybody needs to get out there and vote. If you're an American, get out there, contact your local politicians. Good people are involved in this industry. We're building amazing things. Huge corporations are building amazing things, and we can do amazing things. But, we need to put people in office that are going to have a little more acceptance and, see this ingenuity and innovation and not stifle it instead of, let's propagate it further. But, it all starts with conversations like this. So, yeah, great space.
Thanks, Stephen, and thanks for coming by. Appreciate your takes. Peter, sorry for the wait. Thanks for patiently waiting. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, no, all good. One topic that's been kind of in the background here is like, who is the real enemy? And, it's convenient to unite against the SEC and Gensler for a lot of reasons. But to the extent the problem we're solving is massive concentration of capital in the hands of a few entities, whatever the SEC is doing is completely unrelated to that. Like, our ability to liberate ourselves from the unworkable financial institution, it shouldn't depend upon Binance's ability to sell me a shitcoin. It just flatly doesn't. Bitcoin is the solution to those problems, and all of this innovation we're talking about is something entirely different. And no matter what the SEC is capable of achieving, like, I'll still be able to go on Craigslist and buy a Bitcoin from someone and figure out a way. And I'm not going to throw my hat in and say that I depend on Coinbase or I depend upon Binance or that I'm even remotely concerned about the SEC action against them, because all they're doing is going after private centralized institutions that make billions and billions of dollars, and in my view are aiming to simply replace, in an unhelpful way, the same old financial institutions that put us in the problems that we got to. So, I don't have a problem with Binance and Coinbase having to pump the brakes and pay billions of dollars to get some clarity for us. Bitcoin will roll on, and those people that don't sell tokens and promise returns will do fine in the United States.
But real quick, Peter, I don't think it's up to SEC to decide what the market should look like, right? Like for Gary Gensler to say that the only coin that's valuable is BTC, that's not his purview to decide what's valuable. When he said that there's only digital currencies, as if to say like they shouldn't need any more, that's not for him to decide. That's for the market. He's just supposed to provide clarity into what is a commodity and what is security, and then let the market decide what's valuable or not. But on that note, let's go to other ends.
Yeah, I mean, the SEC's mandate is to enforce actions concerning situations where one person or entity sells something to another person or entity with the expectation of profits based upon those efforts. So, reasonable minds can disagree about whether that applies to most cryptos. I think, candidly, it does. And so I don't think it's Gensler going too far beyond the mandate of the administration. And of course, lots of people on the panel have made points that, putting so much power in bureaucratic hands is per force bad. And that's a good conversation to have. But given that society seems to have accepted the existence of the SEC, I think it's fine for them to go ahead and say, nah, like, you actually can't raise $350 million by selling tokens to a bunch of people promising that the tokens are going to go up in value.
Hector, you want to go for it?
Sure. It's funny to hear these things that people think that like the SEC is bad. Like everyone complained when FTX happened. Like, what the fuck? This is crazy. And then they come in and try to help you, and they're like, "Wait, what are you doing? Why are you helping us?" Like, you guys want both for some reason. You guys want all the regulation, but don't want any of the regulation.
No, we don't want either.
So why didn't he do something about FTX if he was meeting with him all the time?
Well, when you meet with someone, doesn't mean they're going to tell you everything, right? They could lie straight to your face. Everyone can lie to your face. They're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm fucking everybody."
Are you really going to come up here and defend Gensler? Go ahead.
Yeah, I am. I'm literally defending Gensler. Of course, that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys think that there's this real new thing. Like, Regulation isn't new. You look at Blockstacks, STX, a token. They registered with the SEC.
Wait, Hector, what is a synthetic share?
What are you even talking about?
What is a synthetic share on the stock market? What is a synthetic share? If we don't know what a synthetic share is, we're in trouble.
There's no such thing as a synthetic share in the stock market, so you can think that if you like. But anyway, back to my point. So the idea of regulation is not new when it comes to crypto. Like people they're soliciting token instead of shares in a company, instead of shares in a foundation, and the foundation is the one soliciting, like Solana Labs, Polygon Labs, right? They're soliciting in exchange for dollars. Why do they want dollars? Because they need to build infrastructure. And why do they give you token? They give you token because you expect that token to go up in value. Otherwise, it's a charity and you're just giving away money in hopes that you think it's a good idea. But your expectation as an investor is that you receive that token in hopes that it goes up. So there's nothing different here. Look at STX. STX stacks from Bitcoin. They registered with the SEC up to 180 million tokens for them to sell to investors. Like that's the way you want to go about it. Gensler's not asking you to get away with the tokens. They're asking you just to do that. Just register with the SEC because what you're doing is soliciting a security. You're selling a security. And to think that for some reason the crypto should be absolved or have a new set of rules, like you're basically saying every other entrepreneurial endeavor should be different than us. And you're not giving us to why. Like just because
Yes, we give you a why. There was
No, we're
the
saying that
expectation of
those
profit
also shouldn't
is not
fall under
coming
those
from
rules.
just one group. It's coming from
No,
different
you guys
groups,
are
right?
not
In the
different.
case of
You're a vast
Ethereum, you can't
minority.
point to. In the case of Ethereum, you can't point to one entity being the source of your profit. It's decentralized enough. You can't point
No,
to
I
one
can
set
point
of
exactly to
actors.
the entity. The entity is the Ethereum
No,
Foundation.
like
They're the
who?
ones who sold
Ethereum
the tokens.
Foundation, Consensus, J.P. Morgan. How many
No,
conspiracies you want to add to the
Consensus was
table before you point
created.
to actually one?
Dow.
It's not
Consensus is
one
a company
entity. That's
created
the
by one
difference.
of the
There's
founders.
actually a legal precedence for it, real quick. There's an actual legal precedence for it. If you decentralize enough, if you can't
No,
point
it's
to
stupid.
one actor or one group of actor or
The
one
Ethereum
entity.
Foundation. The Ethereum Foundation solicited tokens. They sold tokens in an ICO, and
Yeah,
those
at the
people.
beginning, but it became decentralized over time, and that's the same case for most network. If you give them time, they'll decentralize enough. You can't
No,
expect them to come up decentralized from the get go. They have to go through a process, a sandbox where they can become decentralized. That's what most actors are asking for, to
no
provide the
one's asking.
ability for them to
No,
start. They're
there
not trying
are
to be
such.
startup; they're trying to be network. So you're
No,
confusing the people by telling them they're trying to be startup when they're trying to be network,
you are
where
all
people
trying
can
to be
add
startups. You're all
value.
trying to
But
generate.
it doesn't matter.
You guys
Hold
are
on, real
trying
quick,
to
real quick.
generate value.
Let me finish. I had 20 more seconds. I was an iOS developer. If I want to build an app and release it on an iPhone, I have to go through a central authority, and it can't allow me to do what I want to do. But in the case of the centralized network that we're trying to build, I don't have to ask for permission because it's censorship resistant. That's what most people are trying to build in the space. You can't compare startups with network; they're different in nature.
No, that's what you can believe that, but that's not the truth. So, besides the point, you guys, crypto entrepreneurs in air quotes are a vast minority to the entire GDP. Like, you guys are mostly irrelevant to the case. So, like, to want to say we're different and we get rules because we're quote unquote trying to build a network, that doesn't fly. Like, you're most likely trying to generate revenue or generate money to be able to create something that has value. You perceive can trade in that value for real world objects like cars, houses, and whatever. Because you are not going to just sit on token and just be happy that the token is appreciated. You're going to want to exchange that for real world goods. So to say that
But if people tell you they're building a network, you don't want to accept that. Okay, literally, people tell you want to build a network. Say no, you're building a startup.
Exactly, you are. So if and that's where the argument for Bitcoin is so good, because the argument for Bitcoin is so good because no one created any sort of exchange for dollars who was the issuing entity or a group of people who started it up. This guy said, "Hey, I have this thing called a Bitcoin. You can do it if you want," and over time it created its own value. No one in exchange created token for dollars. That's the big difference that people don't understand. Like for some reason they think that just because I created it and I have the intention of creating a decentralized network, and if it fails, oh well, I exited and got millions of dollars. That's just a terrible argument. But besides the point, right? That's why Gensler, what he's doing is nothing different. You just want to perceive it as different and perceive it as negative because most part you haven't dealt with securities in your life.
Are you
So
a securities lawyer?
no, but I've hired them, so I can tell you.
Okay, I just want to make that clear to the room, though.
No,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
clearly. I am not acting as a lawyer trying to pretend I'm one. So take that for example. Like that is not the case. I'm not trying to say I am a lawyer, but I have dealt with securities and I have dealt with building businesses, and so I understand that when I ever like In my case, I've dealt with the SEC and wanted to be on the right side of the SEC because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to pay fees. So like that's just a typical thing you do whenever that's part of your legal due process or due diligence whenever you're trying to build something. You want to make sure you're on the right side of the law. But besides that, like people were complaining about houses, right? Like none of you guys are all complaining about houses. Houses went up, blah 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 blah. But none of you complained about your token appreciation. No one complained about Bitcoin being at 8,000 2 years ago. No one complained about Solana being at 50 cents or Ethereum being at whatever hundreds of dollars. Like, but for some reason, housing is bad.
Well, yeah,
You want
because
to,
of the
you want
ways that
what you
increase.
actually want is to dump your bags. You want to dump your bags on other people, so then you can buy your house and they have to sell their house. It's a
You're
zero sum game.
insinuating a lot of things.
No, this is exactly what it is. You guys are just trying to hide it under the "we all
Who's
gonna make it"
you? Who's
mentality.
you guys? Who's you guys?
We're all
This
hucksters.
generalization of crypto.
That's it. Is that what you're saying? That we're all hucksters?
If you hate us so much, why are you
I
here
don't,
every
I
week?
don't, I don't hate you. I'm trying to be honest with you guys. Like, just be honest.
Hector, real quick. First of all, I'm not a stockbroker, but I do mess around with stock and all kinds of stuff. Just to let you know, there is a such thing as synthetic. I wanted to stop you, but I didn't want to cut you off because the lady was right. There's synthetic shares, and that's what the government uses to fucking go long, short. They play that shit all day. So now they do it in the stock market, and here they are in the fucking crypto market trying to learn. And what they're doing is they're manipulating the market just like they do with the stocks to try to take over that thing, which is what Gary Gensler did the other day in front of all our fucking faces. Hey, by the way, we're going to go ahead and go after Binance to and sue them. So they're doing the same shit that they do in the stock market. Now they're bringing it into crypto because they don't want us to fucking own any. You know, because they know there's a value. If they didn't think there was a value in this shit, it's not about, the SEC, yeah, we do need some of them, but to the point where, you know, like Binance has nothing to do with shit coins. You know, Bitcoin has nothing to do with shit coins. I mean, all this stuff that they're going against, I mean, they're doing it the wrong way, and that's where the problem comes in. Not that the fact that we need some type of regulation, but yeah, that's wrong.
There's not a problem with Binance or Coinbase. Is that what you believe? Have you read the filings?
Dude, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There are some things that can be fixed. There's some things that can be fixed, but how do you say we're going to go ahead and freeze all your fucking assets? Come on, bro. That's crazy.
Do you understand what their argument is? Did you read the 130 pages of Binance?
No, I have not.
So real quick, not to interrupt, real quick. I just want people in the audience also to understand that we're talking about legal aspect, right? As Jess was saying, none of us are lawyers. And when you actually look at it from a conceptual point of view, right? And I'll be real quick, right? When you talk about a startup, right? It's a central organization. You can point to a CEO, you can point to executives and the board of directors, right? There are clear responsibility as to who is responsible for outcome, for result, for income, for profit. In the case of a network, and I know some people disagree that some people are building on networks, but if you accept that what they're building is a network, it's completely decentralized, right? It's maybe not 100% decentralized. At some points are fairly here and there, but the goal is to go towards a place where different actors can join that network and add value at different edges. There is no central point that should be able to point to and say that's where the decisions are being made. So from a conceptual point of view, when you talk about crypto and we talk about decentralization, it matters because that's what a lot of people are trying to build. Now, they're able to build it. Can we point to some point to centralization? For sure. But to simply dismiss those efforts and to say, well, those are just startups that just happen to be on chain, that's a false narrative. And if you try to paint the space that way, I don't think you understand how space works.
Please go to ethereum.foundation.
Sorry, Hector.
/ES.
No, we're at the 14-minute mark. We got 2 hands up, and we gotta close it out. I'm sorry, guys, but I do have to go at one hard stop. So I'm gonna go to the last hands. This is gonna be your last comments. So we, and then Bad, and then whoever else wants to chime in. But I am gonna ask you guys to make it brief. I'm sorry. We've been on for 3 hours, coming on 3 hours.
Guys, the blockchain really solves a lot of issues. I go through these spaces telling everyone they're pioneers and heroes because you all are. You just didn't realize what you built until someone came that had a fresh view on things. And we, the people, you know, a lot of us, I'm guilty of it, sit on our butts. We don't vote. But at the same time, how much say do we really have in our system? I'm not anti-government at all, okay? Our government is making a lot of great changes. I see it. You know, if you go to any of the 3-letter organizations and look up, they're becoming very transparent because of the corruption that had occurred. So, like the CIA.gov reading room, the CIA.gov library, go check it out. seriously. But now is the time, if we don't want regulation, okay, in this market, and I'm just someone that's coming through learning about it, then we, the people, need to stand up and show that we can self-regulate it. And right now is that time, that opportunity to stand up, step up, network, and get together and say, hey, this is the way we want things to go. This is how this should go. The average American, okay, doesn't make enough on minimum wage to survive. They're already in the debt. They can't buy a house. I know you might think it's funny, but it's true. Go to Austin, Texas. Go to Dallas, Texas. Watch the people under the bridges. Like, I've been there. I'm on disability. I bring in $1,264 a month for me. With me and 2 kids that are teenagers, I get $2,000 a month. The Social Security system that you're laughing about is only going to last 11 to 14 years.
That's a Ponzi scheme.
So please tell me that we have enough money to suffice. And then when we're looking around, we're getting mad at people for the wrong reasons. We have the opportunity to grab the bull by its horns and lead the way. But we have to stand up together as a whole and do something that's right. And yes, the government does have good, and it does regulate things that are good. But you know what? At this, in the same breath, what is the largest industry in America that's private? Oh, wait, prison. $3,000 per day per prisoner. Figure that one out.
Thanks, Sweetie, for coming by and for contributing to the conversation. Bad, you're up next.
I liked a lot of your argument, but the idea that the government is becoming more transparent is patently absurd. But to move on from that, Hector, you were kind of putting these arguments that we were arguing and mischaracterizing them. I think the SEC should be abolished, and I don't think we should have any special rules for us. I think everybody shouldn't have to live under those rules, no matter what industry they're in or an entrepreneur in. But we've had a lot of black pills in this space, so let me give you a few white pills. Something that Brooke touched on and a lot of other people touched on is, at the end of the day, they can't take down Bitcoin. We already won that war. The ability for us to transact without interference from the state is always going to be here now, thanks to Bitcoin. And my worldview has, changed over the years, where in my early 20s and my late teens, I was obsessed about learning everything I could from a historical standpoint and a constitutional standpoint about, how this government has gone from the smallest government in history to one of the biggest government in history, and shredded the Constitution from there. But as Lysander Spooner said, the Constitution is either authorize the government we're under, or it's done little to prevent it. Otherwise, it's unfit to exist. So my view has changed from solving any of these things from a political means to a technological means, whether it be Bitcoin, whether it be the fact that we can 3D print machine guns in our houses now, or anything of that nature. I think liberty comes from that method. And quite frankly, for the United States, I think it's more likely that we have a national divorce and break up than solving any of these problems through a political means. But if you guys do want to solve these problems through a political means, you're more than welcome to join the Libertarian Party and read some Rothbard and some Mises and figure out why all this is occurring and what we got to do about it. But other than that, we're probably just headed to a breakup.
Thanks, Bad. Appreciate you coming by today. First time speaker. So we appreciate you stopping by and hope you come back. Not next week, because I won't be here and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But go ahead, Hector. Hector, last comments, and then Joy, I'm going to ask you guys to keep it brief. I need like 6 minutes of time, so keep it brief.
If anyone's interested, go to ethereum.foundation/EF, and there you can meet your executive board of the Ethereum Foundation with A.M. Miyaguchi, Vitalik Buterin, and Patrick. There's also the idea. Same thing happens with Solana Labs. You want to meet those board members like Raj and whoever else.
And then for Bitcoin, it's Craig Wright, right? Is that who we contact?
No, there's no one to contact for Bitcoin, like I talked about earlier.
But I thought you said Craig Wright created Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So then how can the government not just take him down? This doesn't make any sense to me.
Because like we talked about earlier, like he didn't ask for any dollars, right? He just created a thing and people went for it. But besides the point, so just the general thing, like it's really weird to think that these tokens are going to save your life in the sense that they're going to give you money. Like you need money to make money. So if you want people to increase the value of your token, they gotta give you dollars into the system, and then your token goes up in value. That's how a market works. But to think that this is going to solve freedom and solve money, and no, it doesn't do it. Like if anything, it's going to make it worse, because Now you're gonna fight over a limited number of supply, and you're gonna fight over the ability of being able to process transactions. So yeah, it's cool when other sides minting and the very rich are having fun playing with their NFTs, and you're over here trying to buy a coffee for $5 and it's gonna cost you $400. Yeah, it's a really great way to think that this is gonna solve your problems.
All right.
The
For
Federal
that
Reserve
story,
printing
that's
all the money they want. That's going to solve our problems. That's a much better system.
But yeah, so apparently everybody can get subpoenaed except for Craig Wright, even though Hector thinks that's who created Bitcoin. But Joey, and then we'll go to Brooke and the rest of the host.
Yeah, I'll be super quick. I just want to say thank you. I would say for the most part, everything that was talked about in here, like was like it was like agree. What is the we disagreed? Civil. I don't remember, but anyways, everybody got along really well. It was really interesting to hear like multiple sides of the aisle and get to hear other people's opinions, which I love. You know, it's so hard nowadays to have civil discourse without people yelling and calling each other names. And like, it was a great space and I really enjoyed it. And I want to thank you, Jess. And I hate to shell shit, but Jess is coming because I'm doing a women in Web3 spaces that starts at 1:00. And I'm so excited to talk to Jess and all the other amazing women in the space. And it's pinned up top. So if you want to come, please come. Thank you. Love you.
Thanks, Joey. I'll talk to you in a bit. I got to walk my dogs really quick after I get off here. And then, yeah, I'll be on and chat with you guys. So looking forward to that and appreciate your input to the conversation. Brooke, what are your thoughts
Wait,
about
is
today?
that a Women in Web3 panel?
I know, right? Only because it's Joey, because you know how I am about that.
I love it. No, I love it.
Brooke, come, Brooke, come too.
Have you ever seen the video? I think you'll get why I joke about it.
Brooke is identifying as a man from now on in Web3, so you can put her on the panels with the boys. She's been doing this a lot longer than most of them, I think.
So I have the Crypto Wendy O from the O Show on YouTube. We are in Pasadena for the 3XP DecentralCon conference, and she has something she'd like to say.
So I want to just touch really quickly on what's going on with the whole Coinbase and Binance US thing. I don't think I understand there's a lot of discourse in the industry and people always want to pick sides and be tribal, which I get, fine, cool, whatever. But really at the end of the day, we're dealing with right now, we're dealing with a public servant, with a public funded entity that is basically coming in and taking away your rights and your liberty. Just because you don't happen to like CoinX or you don't happen to like Bitcoin or this doesn't work for you, that's okay. It's not supposed to. Crypto is not designed that way. Bitcoin was not designed for everybody to get along and everybody to have this great, like, everything for the whole WAGMI thing. It was literally designed for positive competition in the market. Positive competition in the market allows you to pick and choose what types of products and services you want to use that better suit your needs and your family needs. The name of the game is being able to create really cool things that other people will want to use. Unfortunately, that falls under the category of entrepreneurism, in my opinion. Most entrepreneurs do not make it. It's not because they're not bad people. It's not because they're scamming. It's not because this and that and the next thing. It is simply because being your own boss is very hard, and not everybody has the skills to run a business successfully. It is a very hard thing. And I know Brooke talks about this a lot. This is part of what she does in the space. So instead of us getting mad and saying, well, we don't need this and we don't need that, I don't want this, and you're all rooting for the demise of this industry, it's a very scary thing, because what these what these public servants actually do is when they instill brand new laws, it is so hard to get these things appealed and have them modified in any way. And they don't just do one law. They don't just address one particular industry or one particular entity. They're putting laws and regulations into place that, like, for example, they were calling this the TikTok Act. It's not called the TikTok Act. It's actually the Restrict Act. When they wanted to ban TikTok, they want to actually get insight to all of your privacy, everything that you're doing in your personal life, but they marketed it as a way to ban TikTok, and they brought our kids into this and the whole mental health thing, which, again, you can't monitor what your kids are doing, then don't have kids. Parenting is really, really hard. So before you cheer and say, oh yeah, this is good, this is, we need this, we don't need this any way, shape, or form. What needs to happen is we need a brand new entity to come in that's going to give some sort of guidelines when it comes to the crypto asset industry. We need people from the SEC, from the CFTC, from the goddamn agricultural department, which I don't even know why that's relevant or not, because we're talking about apples and oranges here. but then we need people in the crypto industry to come in and say what we should and shouldn't do. And remember, these laws and regulations that they want to put against Binance and Coinbase and whatever the hell, remember that our banks, if you walk into your bank today and you ask them to show segregation of your funds, they can't do that. That's all.
We
That's
love
all.
Wendy.
Mic drop.
It's a mic drop every time.
Yeah, and everybody, in case you're wondering who was speaking, I did put a tweet up from Wendy's account. Thank you so much for stopping by, and Brooke for setting that up. And Brooke, I know you wanted to you wanted to chime in on something else?
Yes, I'm very excited to have taken on the role of co-producer for Crypto and Coffee. I've been obsessed with this show and Jess and Tammy and Dow from the beginning. I even started getting up earlier in the morning to be on here because I am an entrepreneur. And if I want to sleep till 10 a.m., I can. Kidding. I usually get up earlier than that. But what this means is that Jess is going to have another set of hands to be able to navigate who we can have on the show, the kinds of things that we really believe that everybody is going to enjoy and get a lot of, get a lot of use out of. So I'm really excited. Really, I just wanted the verified check mark. Just kidding. But it's very cool. There's nobody else that I would have wanted to do this with. I'm so thrilled that I get to do this with these amazing people. So yeah, my DMs are open, which is a scary thing for me. But if anybody has suggestions or wants to come on as a guest, I'm here to support Jess and Tammy and Dow, and I'm super excited about it.
Love that. Yeah, happy to have you on. And yeah, and we're also going to be doing more shows. So if anybody wants to maybe become a Spaces host and have a team supporting them, like reach out to Brooke too for that too. So we are going to be doing more shows during the week
I'm going to
as
actually be
well.
like hosting some, because I never host. So Jess is like, hey, we got to do some spaces. So I've agreed to do that. And we'll do other things like Wendy was saying, entrepreneurship and business. I've been in business for myself for 14 years. So I know a little bit about how to stay in business, all of the different things, who to hire. So I think there's some value in talking about other stuff other than crypto.
Completely agree. Yeah, and we do have to wrap it up. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we will not be here next Friday. I am taking my first Friday off since September of 2021. And I'll be in the Bahamas. Maybe I will come back. I don't know. But yeah, I am gonna have a spaces, whatever, on Wednesday evening to highlight some of my subscribers from my Twitter community. So looking forward to doing that. I'll put that out soon. But I did want to throw it over to Dow. Dow, what you got coming out this week? What did you think about today's conversation?
Yeah, that was a great conversation. But first, you enjoy those vacations. You deserve it. You're one of the hardest person that I know working in crypto, and this is the best space that I can think of in crypto. So, well-deserved vacation. Enjoy the Bahamas. But yeah, this was a great talk. And what I will retain, and hopefully most people retain, is that when we talk about the government, there are different agencies. There's different branches, and they don't all agree. And even at the state level, this disagreement. So I think we can also recognize that American institutions are quite decentralized, and that's good to hear. And yeah, let's see what happens in terms of regulation. But I'm actually pretty positive about that. And real quick, next week I'll be hosting a farmers market on Wednesday about le Web 3. French Web3. If you want to hear some French accent talking about crypto, just joining on Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
I
Did you
love
say
me a
French
French
trois?
accent.
Le
French
Web
trois,
3,
you
it's
say?
like Web 3, right, in French.
Go ahead, Tammy. You're up. What about you?
Well, we just have the spaces coming up. This space was great today, and thank you for bearing with me today. I don't know, none of you know, I'm having a garage sale today, and these people mean business, all right? So, but hey, I gotta get some bags of fiat to get some crypto, right?
On a Friday?
Huh?
On a Friday? That's pretty cool.
I know, right? It's the neighborhood having it. And I swear every time I went to speak, it got like packed. And everybody's asking me and coming at me at once. Hey, will you take this? Will you take that? I'm just like, holy crap. I thought I could multitask, but I guess I can't. So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. This was a great space today. I loved listening. And, I do believe that there needs to be some sort of safeguards in place or regulations in place. I do feel that way. But I think we go a little overboard sometimes. And, there's just so many things yet to be seen and yet to be worked out. And I'm here for it. I can't wait to see what happens. But just have an amazing time in the Bahamas. I'm so jealous.
Thanks.
But you
I'm not
deserve
leaving
it.
till later this week, so I still got a lot of things. I don't even want to
Yeah.
think about when I'm leaving because I got so many things to do before I leave. But what I did want to remind you guys, in case you joined late, we did have Lee Bratcher, president of the Texas Blockchain Association, and Samuel Armas, president of the Florida Blockchain Business Association. Sorry, that's a lot of B's in there. Earlier in the show, so make sure to go back and play it back. Give them a follow if you're in Texas or in Florida, or maybe you want to figure out who is your state association that you might want to get in contact with. So I'm going to see if I can gather some details from them and maybe share it out with the community on Twitter or in any groups. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming. Great conversation. I know it's a crazy week. Emotions are high, but I love it because that means that you guys are a bunch of passionate MFers, and I love that. So yeah, don't eat each other alive, and I think we'll make it through this. So I hope everybody has a great weekend, and yeah, see you around Twitter. Oh yeah, go to Joey's space. It's pinned on top. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.